So Alaska wants to make a new state forest, which sounds awesome. We all love state forests, but there's a catch about this. There's something weird about this proposal. Alaska wants to take about 100,000 acres of disjointed land scattered throughout the Kenai Peninsula and redesignate them as a state forest for the purpose of, wait for it, commercial logging. I mean, what could possibly go wrong, right? The Division of Natural Resources say they also want the land to be designated as hunting, fishing, recreation, and reserved for public access. But is that really their goal? Or is this really about logging? The problem is our state has a long and distinguished history of giving resources to outside companies that come in, use the land, and take the money out of state and take the resources out of states and leave us that live here in Alaska to clean up the mess. I don't want that to happen to where I grew up on the Kenai Peninsula. State Senator Bjorkman sent out a map that is kind of weird. It's a map that is color-coded gray on gray, so it's really hard to understand what land is designated for the state forest and what land isn't. The problem is that some of those areas are around the Caribou Hills, which a lot of our friends and neighbors have land at the Caribou Hills, but there's also land across Kachemak Bay. There's land out towards the Gulf of Alaska, like Pearl Island and Elizabeth Island. Do we really want to log those islands? There's also areas on the map that's grayed out that around Seward. And these are all old growth forests that aren't really endangered of beetle kills. And you know, don't get me wrong, I'm all about resource development and I'm not against logging at all, but I am against having companies come in from out of state, exploit the land, clear cut it, leave us with the mess. I'm definitely against that. Also, what kind of restrictions are going to be on this land? The state is full of examples where they lease out land to outside companies and restrict it for locals. Take the Ambler Road, for example. You and me will never drive that road or experience that area of Alaska because it's off limits to us. The only people that are going to go on the Ambler Road are outside corporations that are using the land for their own benefit. And we should ask ourselves, do all these areas really need to be logged? And the areas that could use logging and could use forest management are, areas on the Kenai Peninsula where there's been spruce beetle kill and where there's been burns, but that area is not productive for logging. It's not going to be profitable for logging. But that area does need to be managed for moose habitat, but that's not what this proposal is about. Oh wait, my son's going to jump here. How will public access be ensured? Will the final legislation explicitly prohibit gating, fencing, and closing these lands to the public? If a Kenai Peninsula State Forest is created, will it have an explicit goal of promoting moose habitat through sustainable logging?